Bonjour à toutes et à tous et bienvenue dans une nouvelle vidéo Learn to French. Je m'appelle Eden et j'enseigne le français. Hello and welcome to Learn to French. My name is Eden and I teach French. In this video, we are going to learn a little bit more about conjugation moods. Est-ce que vous êtes prêts? Are you ready? C'est parti. So first of all, what are moods? Moods, in French, are called modes de conjugaison. Where can you find the mood? So here you have a conjugation table. This is the one that I use personally, and I can link the resource in the description box. So here you have la conjugaison du verbe avoir. So this is the conjugation of the verb avoir, which means to have, right here. And where can we find the mood? So it's quite simple. You have the first mood here, indicatif, and another one here in the picture. So basically, you have the tenses right here, présent, passé composé, imparfait, présent, passé, imparfait, and the moods right here, right above. So what's a mood? A mood is the way or the setting in which a verb expresses an action or a state. It's also a category of the conjugation tense, as we've seen previously. You have the tense here, and you have right here the mood. So first you find the moods, and then within these moods, you find the tenses. There are two types of moods, the personal moods and impersonal moods. So let's try to take a look at all of the moods that we have in the French language. Personal moods, they are introduced by a personal pronoun. So, je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, il, and elle. So basically, you're going to conjugate the verb within the verbs within those moods with a personal pronoun. And there are 4 of those personal moods, which are the indicative, l'indicatif en français, the subjunctive, le subjonctif, the conditional, le conditionnel, and the imperative, l'impératif. So there are 4 personal moods in French. What is l'indicatif, the indicative mood? Let's take an example. Il est grand. He is tall. So the indicative indicates what is happening in the real world. It has a total of 8 tenses. So the mood, l'indicatif, the indicative mood, has 8 tenses. This is usually the first mood that you learn in French. You have the present tense, le présent. Je suis, tu es, il est. Imparfait, a past tense. J'étais, tu étais, il était. Passé composé, another past tense. J'ai été, tu as été, il a été. Futur simple, future tense. Je serai, tu seras, il sera. Futur antérieur, j'aurais été, tu auras été, il aura été. Passé simple, je fus, tu fus, il fut. You also have plus que parfait. J'avais été, tu avais été, il avait été. And passé antérieur. J'eus été, tu eus été, il eût été. So, passé antérieur is not really used in everyday French. So, you could find that maybe in books and novels as well. So, the next mood that we are going to see is le subjonctif, the subjunctive mood. Il faut que tu sois patient. You have to be patient. So here we have our conjugated verb, que tu sois. So one thing that you should know, subjunctive always has que in the conjugation. So que tu sois. The subjunctive expresses a desired fact. It can express a doubt or an action that is not certain or not done yet at the moment of the expression. At the moment you're talking about it, it's not really in the real world yet. It has 4 tenses. So the subjunctive, le subjonctif, has 4 tenses within it. Le subjonctif présent, que je sois, que tu sois, qu'il soit. Le subjonctif passé, que j'ai été, que tu aies été, qu'il ait été. Le subjonctif imparfait, que je fusse, que tu fusses, qu'il fût. Le subjonctif plus que parfait, que j'eusse été, que tu eusses été, qu'il eût été. So take a look at these 2 last tenses and let me tell you something about them. So the subjonctif imparfait and subjonctif plus que parfait, so the 2 last ones that we've seen, are no longer really used in everyday French. And even in modern French, we tend to replace it with either subjonctif présent or subjonctif passé if the context allows. So subjonctif imparfait and subjonctif plus que parfait can be present in books or older novels. The next mood that we are going to learn is le conditionnel, conditional. So here's an example. Je voudrais une baguette. I would like a baguette. So je voudrais is the conditional mood here. Je voudrais, I would like. In English, I like to tell my students that you could use conditional when you would use a modal verb like would, should, could, and in those situations, that's when I would use conditional mood. It allows you to express a wish, a hypothesis, or something subject to a condition. So basically, would, could, and should in English. It has 2 tenses. So le conditionnel has 2 tenses. Le conditionnel présent, je serai, tu serais, il serait, and le conditionnel passé, j'aurais été, tu aurais été, il aurait été. So we're not going deeper into the formation of and to the structure of these moods and the tenses that they have. I am just introducing the moods to you today. So you have 2 tenses in le conditionnel. Now remember, it expresses a wish, a hypothesis, or something subject to a condition. I would like a baguette, for example. You can also use conditionnel to express something more politely, a desire a bit more politely. For example, if you walk in a bakery and you ask, I want bread, versus I would like bread, which one sounds more polite? I would like, right? In French, it's exactly the same. So now we're going to see our next mood, l'impératif, the imperative mood. For example, mange tes légumes. Eat your vegetables. What is the imperative? It indicates an order, an advice, or a request. It has 2 tenses, and it is conjugated with only 3 persons and does not add any pronoun before the conjugated verb. Like in English, if you want someone to eat their vegetables, you're not going to say, you eat your vegetables. You say, eat your vegetables. Clean your room. So there are only 3 persons that you will use to conjugate imperative mood in French. So you have the second person singular, which is tu, but you don't add tu before. The first person plural, nous. The second person plural, vous. So let's take a look at the example. You have 2 tenses in impératif, impératif présent and impératif passé. In impératif présent, you have sois, soyons, soyez. So you only have 3 verbs to memorize. And impératif passé, the same thing, ai été, ayons été, ayez été. So once again, you are going to use l'impératif to indicate an order, to express an advice or a request. Now, let's take a look at the impersonal moods. So these moods, they are not conjugated and you have a total of 3 impersonal moods. So let's take a look at them. The first mood is l'infinitif, so the infinitive mood. Manger, to eat. So that's not a sentence, it's just the verb here. Infinitif is the initial form of the verb. So this is what you will see when you try to memorize a list of verbs and try to conjugate them. This is the verb that is not conjugated. This is the initial form of the verb. And then there are two tenses in infinitif. You have l'infinitif présent, être, for example, and l'infinitif passé, avoir été, so having been. So we have être, to be, and avoir été, having been or to have been. So, le participe. So, within those moods, we also have the participle. So, you have started hearing about the participle, the participe, when you started learning passé composé or compound tenses in French. So, for example, manger, with an accent, manger, which means eaten. So this mood expresses an action in relation to another. It is used in compound tenses such as passé composé or plus que parfait, which is the past perfect. So we have le participe présent, étant, and participe passé, été. So this is just an example with the verb être. And then you have the final mood, le gérondif. For example, il chante en marchant. He sings while walking. So the while is optional here. This mood should not be mistaken with the participe présent. So the one that we've seen earlier, which also ends in en, A-N-T. Those are two different things. It is invariable and always begins with en. It makes it possible to express the circumstances of an action expressed by the main verb. So you have the main verb here, il chante, and then you add the gérondif to express the circumstances. Like he sings, this is the main verb, and then you add the circumstances while walking. So here are some examples. Still with the verb être. So we have two tenses, le gérondif présent, en étant, and le gérondif passé, en ayant été. So I would like to add as a final word that the richness of the French language might seem impressive at the beginning of your learning. If you are at an intermediate or even advanced level, you may still not see the point of learning all those tenses and moods of conjugation. But if you are determined to get back to the basics of French, I guarantee that everything will become crystal clear. So good luck with everything, and I am ending this video on this positive encouragement. I would like to thank you for your support, and if you enjoyed this content, feel free to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Learn to French. In the meantime, je vous dis merci beaucoup et au revoir!